All right, guys, section 6.2. This one's about pay periods and your hourly rates. This one, I think, comes into big time play when you're looking into the real world. Think about like overtime. Like I'm sure you guys have heard of you make time and a half, you make double time. Do you know what that truly means? So, so I think a lot of people don't truly understand what that means. Like, yeah, I'm making time and a half. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. We're going to talk about that, okay? We'll figure out what all that means. All right, so we're going to compute weekly, semi-monthly, bi-weekly earning given an annual salary. So we'll be able to figure out how much they make each of those times. And then computing their hourly pay and their overtime pay. All right, so first thing, about how often do you get paid? Hopefully you know most of these already. Weekly is, so how many times would that be in a year? That'd be 52. That's paid once a week. That means you have 52 paychecks per year. So we've been doing a lot with like weekly, monthly, all that stuff all semester long. What about bi-weekly? Why 26? Because you're getting paid when? Every other week. So that's paid once every 2 weeks. That means you get 26 paychecks per year. What about semi-monthly? 2 times a month. Paid twice a month, which means you have 24 paychecks per year. Yeah, every 2 months would be awful. No, twice a month. Twice a month, my husband and I both get paid that way. Yeah, that's how my husband is, the 15th and the last day of the month. Unless it's a weekend, then they pay him like right before that. Mine's the 10th and the 25th. Yep, that's payday. And then the last one is monthly. Monthly? Yeah, monthly is less common, but that means you're paid once a month. So that's 12 times per year. Yeah, that's not as common to get paid once a month. Yeah, that'd be rough to have to try to like spread your paycheck out, like make it last all month long. Because right in the beginning, you're like, sweet, I got all this money, I'm gonna go out and buy stuff, and then like towards the end of the month, you're like, oh crap, a lot of money. Yeah. Ramen noodles. Got to pay those bills too. Speaking of bills, you guys take a look at your budget challenge. Yeah, and I get an email once a week from the company that tells me if like how well you're doing. So you get a 10-point grade every time. If you're late paying a bill, yeah. I know. No, we don't just give up. Oh, stop it. Stop it. All right. Next thing, guys, is direct deposit. Do you guys know what it means to direct deposit? Yep. Your paycheck amounts are automatically deposited electronically into bank accounts on payday. I tell you what, if you choose not to do this, you're crazy. Yeah, some businesses don't give you an option. Some of them are like, nope, you're getting a paper check. And some of them are like, nope, you have to be direct deposit no matter what. Like for me, I have to have direct deposit. Getting a paper check's not an option. Which, I mean, to get a paper check, then I got to pick it up, and then I got to go to the bank, and I got to sign the back of the check. Like that's a pain in the butt. Who's got time for that? The hard part is going to the bank. Like I have a check in my wallet right now that one of my friends wrote me, and it's been in there for like 3 weeks, and I still haven't cashed it because I just don't go to the bank. Yeah, I'm sure you would. All right, so direct deposit, your paycheck automatically put into your checking account or your savings. All right, how about real quick, guys, let me ask you. I know a lot of you have jobs. How many of you, your paychecks are all direct deposit? Anybody paper check? Yours is, where do you work at? Subway's a paper check, really? Huh, that's surprising that they're paper checks. I don't know. I'll have to ask Destiny. Destiny's a manager at hers. We'll have to ask her. Cole? Gotcha. Oh, really? Because they were like a mom and pop type shop? Gotcha. Oh my gosh. That's frightening. Um, Abby, you're going to want to grab the notes out of the basket over there, hon. All right. Next thing, hourly rate. How much you get paid an hour? A set amount a person is paid for each hour they work. And that varies depending on where you work, what kind of job you are, what level you are at that job, how much experience you have. I haven't been an hourly employee in, what, 14 years? It's my 14th year of teaching. I'm salary. Not celery. Salary. Before I started teaching, I worked at a bank for a while. I worked at Big Lots. They should have just paid me in merchandise. That would have been easier. I bought stuff all the time when I worked there at Big Lots. Let's see, where else did I work? I worked as a waitress for a while. I worked at a pizza place. How long did you teach? 14 years. 14 years. Yeah, I started teaching when I was 10. All right, overtime, hourly rates. All right, guys, overtime hourly rate. You can write whatever you want to write. A set amount of money a person is paid for each hour they work beyond their regular hours. Okay, this usually, I'm missing a word, this is usually more than 40 hours per week, because usually 40 hours is considered, that's your work week. Overtime rate is usually time and a half. Sometimes overtime and or holiday pay can be double time. Did they? That's nice. I worked on Thanksgiving once. I got regular rate. Yeah. But Christmas is a holiday? Christmas is a religious holiday. Like, they don't have a very good argument there. Right? That sucks. That sucks. All right, anybody in here make overtime pay at the job? Say, I know most of you probably don't work on it, but some of you I know do. Anybody make overtime pay in here? The jobs that I had before teaching, none of them paid me overtime pay. It was always the same. And then what about gross pay? Do you know what that is? Yep, that's the sum of your regular pay and your overtime pay, and that's without taxes coming out. That's a whole nother chapter. No, double pay is like if you make $10 an hour, they're going to pay you $20 an hour. Oh, they always take taxes out. They'll take even more out because you made more. Yeah. That's how I was. Yeah, some of my jobs, they let me. Oh, I worked at a golf course before, too. That was fun. Yeah. I did. That was fun. I drove around the golf cart all day. They let me keep all the tips and everything. That was really cool. A caddy? Clean them off after the snow, take care of the cars. You could do that. That'd be a great job for you now. There you go. Nice. That's the best job I ever had. It was great. All right. Let's actually do some math, shall we? Yeah, let's do some math. All right. So number one, Christina is paid bi-weekly. What's bi-weekly mean? Every 2 weeks. So how many times a year? 26. Her annual salary is $37,000. What is her bi-weekly salary rounded to the nearest cent? So what do we have to do? Yep. divided by 26. So I want to know, I know she makes $37,000 a year. How much does she make every time she gets paid without taxes coming out? So $1,423.08. Most jobs either bi-weekly or bi-monthly, typically. All right, Manny is paid semi-monthly. What's that mean? Semi-monthly. 2 times a month, so that is 24 pays. His semi-monthly salary is $1,239. What is his annual salary? So I would do what? You would multiply them, because this is how much he makes every or twice a month, and he gets paid 24 times a year. So how much does he actually make for the year? That is good. $29,736. Is he bringing all that home? Nope. Right? Oh, more than 1,000 off. All right, questions on the super basic ones? You have some of those on homework. All right, let's talk about time and a half and double time, though. Because if you're saying, yeah, I'm making time and a half, like, I want to make sure you know what that means. Okay? Time and a half is multiply your hourly rate times 1.5. So if you make $10 an hour, 10 times 1.5 is $15. So you would make $15 an hour for the overtime. So multiply your hourly rate times 1.5. So for example, if your hourly rate is $12.45 and overtime is time and a half, what is your overtime rate? So you have to take how much you make, $12.45, and multiply that by 1.5, time and a half. So $18.68. $18.68 per hour. So would you make that for all your hours for the whole week? No, just overtime. So usually like anything over 40. Yes. Yep. So then double time? Yep. That would be multiply your hourly rate times 2. That one's a little more straightforward, I think. So if your hourly rate is $12.45 and overtime is double time, what is your overtime rate? Yep, so $12.45 times 2 is $24.90 per hour. So now you know what it means when somebody says they're making time and a half? Multiply by 1.5. Time and a half, 1.5. Doing all right? Am I moving too fast? No? Okay. Well, we're going to apply some of this. It's not too bad. Today's not terrible. There may be 2 questions that trip you up a little bit, but for the most part, you're okay. Maureen works at a local Burger King restaurant. Her regular hourly wage is $9.70. Anybody work at Burger King? Anybody work like McDonald's? Wendy's? Can I ask what you make per hour? I don't even know what minimum wage is anymore. $8.15? It was like 6 something when I used to make minimum wage. I'm old. I'm old. Yeah. All right. So if she regularly works 40 hours per week, what is her regular weekly pay? So what do I have to do? Yep. 970 times 40. So how much does she make per week? $388 per week. All right, number 4. If Maureen, from example 3, works overtime, she receives an hourly rate of 1.5 times. So she makes time and a half. What is her overtime rate? So what do you have to do to figure out her overtime rate? Good. So she normally makes $9.70. Multiply that by 1.5. There you go. So she would make $14.55 per hour for overtime. Yeah, $14.55. That sounds pretty good rates, right? You guys want to go work at Burger King? I don't know if that's real or not. I will be honest with you guys. I worked at Marco's Pizza when I was in high school. I will never eat Marco's Pizza again. Yeah. Sometimes it can ruin you on a place. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't want to know. All right. I can't remember the last time I ate at Taco Bell. Oh, I believe it. All right. Number 5. Janice earns $10 per hour. If her regular hours are 40 hours per week and she receives time and a half overtime, find her total pay for a week in which she works 45 hours. All right, hold on. Hold on. If she's working 45 hours, how many of those are regular time? So 40 of them are regular, and then 5 of them are overtime. Okay? We need to take that into consideration. So let's figure out her regular first. So she's working 40 hours. How much does she get paid for the 40 hours? $10 per hour. So she makes $400 for regular. But then we got to figure out overtime. Hold on. How much does she make per hour in overtime? Yeah, we got to do her 10 times 1.5. I got to figure out how much she actually makes. They told me that it's time and a half. So that would be 15. So this is how much she makes per hour for overtime. And then how many hours did she work overtime? 5. So 15 times 5 is $75. So the question asks, what is her total pay for the week? Yep. Add the 400 from her regular, the 75 that she made for overtime. So she makes $475 that week. But notice this is not just a one multiplication and done. You're going to have to separate the two different parts. We have regular, how many hours were regular, and how much does she get paid? Overtime, how many hours are overtime? How much does she make per hour for overtime? Okay, you're going to have to figure that part out. It's not just multiply 40 or 45 times my $10. It's not the same. Okay, questions there? So why don't you guys try number 6? All right, take a look at number 6. So Josh earns $16 per hour. Josh, do you make $16 an hour? If his regular hours are 40 hours per week and he receives time and a half overtime, find his total pay for the week in which he works 47 hours. So 47 hours. How many are regular? 40 are regular, and then 7 are overtime. We need to make sure we're splitting this. There are 2 different parts to this problem, right? Okay. So $40 or 40 hours, how much does he make? 16. Thank you. Okay, so that's regular. Let's figure out overtime. How much does he make for overtime? How do you figure that? 16 times 1.5 because it's time and a half. It's $24 an hour. So he's making $24 an hour for how many hours? 7. Good. It's 808. Every time I see 808, all I ever think of is my husband. My husband's name is Bob, and he thinks he's hysterical. He writes his name as 808. Because like in a calculator, no, it looks like Bob. You're weird. Yeah, but no, he signs his name like that all the time. I'm like, you're such a nerd. He celebrates his minute 2 times a day, 8:08 a.m. and 8:08 p.m. He's like, woohoo, it's my minute. Like you're such a nerd. for 808. All right. Questions on this part? Because the next two get a little tricky as some of you have looked ahead and got a little lost. Okay. 7 and 8 lead more into like the algebra side of this. It's okay. Let me explain. It's not terrible. Once you kind of see a couple, you're like, okay, all right, I got it. Yes. All right. So you will have these on the homework. So take notes, circle, star, highlight, ask questions. All right, so Samantha worked her 40 regular hours last week plus 7 overtime hours at the time and a half rate. Her gross pay was $611.05. What was her hourly rate? Normally we had the hourly and we could tell you how much she made for the week, right? That's the last two examples were just like that. So this one we have to kind of work our ways backwards. So let's kind of talk about this. Normally we did the 40 hours and we multiplied it by what? No, 40, we multiplied by the pay, right? If you go back to the last two we did, you did 40 and you multiplied it by how much you got paid. What's the part I'm solving for? X. That's what I'm trying to find. How much does she get paid? That's what I want to know. So that would give you her regular pay. And then we always did overtime, right? How did we do overtime? How many hours? And this one is 7. And then how'd you figure out her regular pay? Because we did overtime. So 1.5x. What if it was double time? It'd be 2x. Triple time. I don't know of any job that does that, but it'd be 3x. It would be. Should be. You shouldn't have to work on Christmas ever. Unless you're like a nurse or a doctor. You know. All right. So I took my regular pay and I add my overtime pay, and that gives me the total pay, right? $611.05. Guys, this is how you're going to set up these type of problems. Okay, we don't know how much she's making per hour. That's what I have to solve for. So we take how many hours she's working, and you multiply it by her hour, or how much she gets paid. That's regular. Then we have to add on her overtime. She did 7 hours, and that's time and a half of how much she makes, equals $611.05. All right, so let's kind of clean it up a little bit. So we get 40x plus 7 times 1.5. That's 10.5x equals $611.05. Combine your like terms. Yep, I can put those together and I get 50.5x. Then how do you solve for x? Divide. Divide by 50.5. So how much does she make per hour? $12.10. No. I just do it because it helps me keep track of what on earth I was just solving for. It helps me out. All right, so the initial setup is, you got to kind of think about what you're doing, right? We always took the 40 hours times how much she makes plus the overtime hours, the time and a half or double time, whatever it may be. That equals my total. So number 8, very similar. Misty worked 40 regular hours last week plus 6 overtime hours at the time and a half rate. Her gross pay was $612.50. What was her hourly rate? Same idea. Cole? Hourly rate? Yes. Yep, you got it. So she's working 40 hours. How much does she get per hour? X. This part we don't know, right? Plus, again, this is regular. We have to add in her overtime. How many hours? 6. How much does she get paid for overtime? It'd be 1.5x, because that's her overtime, equals her total of $612.50. All right, so let's clean it up a little bit. We get 40x plus 6 times 1.5 is 9x. Add like terms. So 49x equals $612.50. Divide by 49. So how much does she make? $12.50 an hour. All right, so some of you were freaked out in the beginning. Are we still freaked out of those? Robert, question? That's okay. Questions on anything, guys? That's the whole section. 7 cents.
That's not easy.
All right. Guys, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have a homework assignment tonight. I'm going to give you here in a minute and give you the rest of time to work on it. Make sure you're looking at your budget challenge. Some things have kind of come through. You got a security deposit reimbursement from the last place you lived. So make sure you add that onto your check registry. So take time to do that. All right, tomorrow we're going to work on, I'm going to give you like timesheets to look at. We're going to look at like calculating how many hours somebody's working based on their like clock in and clock out times and like how much money they make. Like we're going to actually go through somebody's timesheet and figure out how much they should get paid. Good, and you'll be great at it. Okay? All right, so homework for tonight. Miss Williams actually took the time and like typed all these questions up separately. So I'm going to give them to you in a nice clean worksheet with nothing crossed off, okay?